Of course, we're going into this game against a team that's had a very, very shit week. They're in the newspapers for all the wrong reasons. They've sacked their coach. We're all worried about the fact that they're going to bounce back. They're going to have the energy because they've got Stephen King, interim coach, and against St Kilda. Of course it is. Of course it is. We've played teams in their milestone games. We've played teams off the back of record thrashings. And now we're playing a team off the back of sacking their coach during the week. Of course, I'm referring to Stuart Dew. So this is a big one, Sainers. It's round 18 football. We'll get straight into the preview. I've got my coffee in hand, and when I've got my coffee in hand, you know it's ready to go. You know it's business time. So it's the business end of the season, and we've got to get the points in this game. I don't care how. If it's like the West Coast game 2 weeks ago, I don't care. We need to bank the points, and we need to move on. We are 9-7. This is getting into a very precarious position on the ladder, and obviously a very precarious time in the season because one little slip up and you drop. And, you know, we've dropped one place. We're 6th. I don't know where Suns are, but they're a long way down. Although they've had, they're sort of unpredictable. 13th, they are 7-9, we're 9-7. So they're only 2 games off us, funnily enough, but that's 13th for you. We're 6th. So that shows how tight it is around that 6 to 12, 13 part on the ladder. It's a game or two difference, so we cannot afford to lose this game. Last time we played them, we won by 53 points. That was a great game. I think that was round 3 or round 4. Before that, we'd won by 26, and then before that, we won by 9, and then I think 4 or 5 in a row before that, we're under a kick. So we always seem to get the job done against the Suns, but it's never easy. Only really recently this year and last year, it's been comfortable. Before that, they're all very, very nerve-wracking games. You don't want to watch them. You don't want to be at them because it's not a cruisy sort of day out at the footy. It's a stressful environment to be in when you play the Suns as a Saints fan. But this is a game we just have to win. And you look at our injury list. Obviously, Josh Battle's a test, which is great. Brad Hill's a test. Jack Higgins will miss. Nick Coffield's a test, which is great. Zane Cordy, TBC, obviously concussion. He's out for a bit. King is out for a bit, although not the end of the season, apparently. Apparently, he could come back by round 22. Dan McKenzie, TBC, not looking very good. Jack Billings, the new one with his thumb, another 2 weeks. Tim Membry, 4 to 5 weeks. Seb Ross, 4 to 6 weeks as of yesterday's injury update. So, for the Suns, they're a team that have been up and down this year. They've put in some pretty good performances, but they've also put in some really poor ones. Their form guide is the same as ours, 2 in their last 5. But they have lost their last 2. They lost to Collingwood by a fair margin. And then they lost to Port Adelaide after being pretty good for a half at Adelaide Oval. And then they went down by the 33 points. We, on the other hand, just had one of those games where everything went wrong. Injuries, goal kicking, umpiring, everything. We went down by 21 points to Melbourne, a game that I would happily argue we could have and should have won if those things didn't go against us. And then before that, obviously, we beat the Eagles in underwhelming fashion, lost to the Lions, lost to Richmond, and beat Sydney up in Sydney. The good news is, I think our last 3 wins have all been interstate. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we beat GWS, we beat Sydney, and we've beaten Eagles. Every other game has been in Melbourne, and we've lost. We lost to Richmond in Melbourne, Brisbane in Melbourne, Melbourne in Melbourne. There's probably another one in there. Hawthorn before the bye. We've lost a lot of games in Melbourne recently, so it's actually a good thing that we're away from home because we travelled pretty well against under Ross Lyon. I think it suits us. A bit more defensive, tighten the game up. We're all right. The Suns, they're not bad at home at Metricon. They beat Adelaide there only a month ago. They smashed Hawthorn there. And the only downside was they lost to Collingwood by 80 points at Metricon. But generally, they've been pretty good. I think we're playing them not at Metricon, but a different ground. Heritage Bank Stadium. I don't know if that is where they generally play, but yeah, that's where we'll be playing them, 2:10 p.m. So they've got some star players despite their form. Obviously, Noah Anderson is an absolute gun and in very good form. Took Miller is a very good player in his own right. Matt Rao is getting back to his best. Jared Witts against Rowan Marshall is going to be huge. And then they've got Jack Lukosius, who I worry about big time in the forward line. He's got a very nice boot on him and he's kicked 5, I think, a couple of times this season. A player that you could see getting off the leash a little bit if we're not on. And then obviously they've got Ben King while we're missing Max King. So they've got a fair few weapons there. Casbolt on his day can be a very uncomfortable matchup. It's a game where it's going to be won or lost just with every little one-on-one around the ground. I can feel it. It's not going to be just one player taking it by the scruff of the neck. This is going to be a game where we've all got to just maintain the rage from last week. If we play similarly to what we did on Saturday night against the D's, I am quite comfortable in that we should get the job done. Amazingly, we are underdogs, according to the money. And I think a lot of people are just, superstitious about the fact that teams sack coaches and then they have the bounce back. But I believe, I don't know when this stat kind of started, but there's a 43% win-loss, in terms of, new coaches coming in and winning in their first game. I'm pretty sure Andrew McQualter lost in his first game this year. A few coaches have. It doesn't just automatically mean players are going to respond and you're going to play better football. We don't know how many of these Gold Coast Suns players really liked playing under Dew and they can't stand the fact that the club's made the decision. We don't know. They had some good wins under him. They were travelling okay. Obviously, that with the list that they've got, they probably should be higher up on the ladder, but that's the way it is sometimes. And they get the chance this weekend to get a win under caretaker coach Stephen King. And he's one that I haven't heard much about. You hear about even McQualter at Richmond. I heard about him. You hear about all these other coaches that get a gig. Brett Ratton, with us, same thing. He was talked up big time at his time at Hawthorn. So Stephen King, haven't heard much about him. So whether he is fully capable, I don't know. Or it just kind of fell into his lap because of the recent news. And the Suns are just going to pretend that they're giving him a gig, even though really they're going to go for Damien Hardwick. So, I think that, on the surface, a lot of our top players got some good form last week. Rowan Marshall, no exception, was excellent, and he's going to have a big, big day and a big say in who wins this game up against Jared Witts. Great timing to get Jack Steele back into form because we really need him up and going against the likes of Miller, Rao, Anderson. Very, very tough midfield there with his mate Brad Crouch, Zach Jones back, and it was so good to see Zach Jones back last week. He really gave us that extra bit of grunt and speed around the ball. Gresham was on bad, 24 disposals and 2 goals last week, so we need him to continue that good form against the Suns, and generally he is pretty good against the Suns. The biggest issue for us is just the back line and the forward line for us. I do not want to see us bombing it to Ballard, bombing it to their backs and letting them do what they want, because the Suns are very much a confidence team, very much a momentum-based team. We give them confidence, they get momentum. It's a tough day at the office for our boys. We need to go there and start similar to the way we did against the D's. We started fast. We kicked 3 of the first 4 goals inside the first 15 minutes. We need to maintain that rage. I think that's the tagline for this game, is maintain the rage from last week. Just kick straight up and we'll be okay. Suns will crack under the pressure. We just need to bring it. If we don't bring it, and it's that very much end-to-end sort of uncontested game, that's when it plays into their hands, and you don't want to have, easy kicks into the forward line with the likes of Ben King running and jumping at the football with our back line in the form that it is. So it's a massive game, Saners. I'm feeling pretty confident. I wouldn't say, I'm feeling confident. I'm really backing the boys in. I really think we can get the job done on the weekend. I don't buy into this whole new coach, bounce back sort of thing. I know it happens sometimes, but I think a lot of the time, it's a 50-50 chance. And if we just bring what we brought last week, that intensity, that run and spread, and obviously that tackling tenacity, I think that'll be enough to get the win. So I'd love to hear your thoughts, Saners. Comment your thoughts below. Let me know your tip, the margin, your biggest worry, where we can win, just your thoughts on the game. Put it all there. I'd love to read them. Obviously, like, comment, as I mentioned, and subscribe. I think we're only 10 subs off 7,000. 10 Saners. There's got to be 10 of you watching that haven't subscribed. If you do, then that means that I'm ready to go and pick a winner for the signed Nick Riewoldt portrait. So if you want to win that, make sure you subscribe or get other people to subscribe. Let's hit 7K this week in the next 24 hours, and I'll be able to pick a winner in the next week or two to take away the signed portrait of Rui, which is a bloody nice portrait. I actually kind of want to keep it now. Stay tuned for future content during the week, and make sure, if you can, get down to the Bentley Social. We're there from 1 p.m. on Saturday to watch the game. Discounted food and drink, hopefully some prizes for best dressed, and obviously the game on 2 projector screens. So get down to the Bentley Social, and if not, go to the game, support the boys wherever you can, and I'll see you after the game for hopefully a review about a good win. Until then, Saners, take care, and as always, enjoy the rest of your week. Go, you mighty Saners. See you guys.